Small Talk.
Hey y'all, what's up? We're back with another episode of Small Talk, where we have two queens, two perspectives, one topic. Asia, what we get into today?
Today we're talking about the levels of intimacy and just intimacy in general.
Okay. Intimacy. I think a lot of people don't even know what that means, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where there's a lot of confusion. Casual sex has created this, like, I don't know, like this, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a blueprint.
Yeah, blueprint.
For intimacy. And I feel like a lot of people confuse that. And it's easy to confuse that if you don't know the difference between physical intimacy and emotional intimacy.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about intimacy, it's just generalized. It's just having a closeness with somebody, right?
Yeah.
So sex, you think of closeness. I want to be intimate with this person. I want to feel connected.
Right.
Those soul ties, all that stuff ties into intimacy. But it's important to know there's a difference between sex. There's a difference between physical intimacy and emotional intimacy.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think even to your point, like, and I think even as like I've heard like pastors talk about this, I've heard like wellness and like relationship gurus, right? Like try to talk about this as well, just around. I feel like we are in a society and in a world that we do long for connection, right? Because I have the belief that we are created for connection, right, to other people. So we try to find this intimacy in like this super quick, fast, like how we do fast food, right? In this like quick way, like, okay, if I meet somebody and I think they're super dope, and then we have like a 4-hour conversation about any and everything, right? Sometimes like, boom, that's intimacy right there, right? Or just like they look hella good and we're vibing. I feel like we're vibing. For a lot of people, that's what comes right before like this level of like intimacy, right? Or being intimate, because I think that's the distinction, right, between being intimate and having a certain level of intimacy with whomever that person might be. Yeah.
So when we think about intimacy and having these levels, let's go through the let's talk about the emotional levels of intimacy, the 5 emotional levels of intimacy. Because like I said before, I think they're very different from physical.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I was just like, he's not hugging me. He's not touching me. Right. Oh, he's not intimate. Let me go look up his zodiac. When really it's like, but he's sharing meals with you and sharing his life issues, and you're sharing your life. That's intimacy.
Right. Yeah.
That's a closeness without the physical.
Right. Exactly.
It's emotional intimacy.
Exactly.
So there's a huge difference. So when we go through the levels, level 1 being safe communication, that's literally like, hey, I'm Brittany. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like an intro, right?
It really is. And I think when we think about like safe communication with people, I really think about like whether you leave or stay, there's no angst, there's no risk, there's no like bad blood. It's like, hey, met you, nice to meet you sort of thing. And like you go on. And that can be with anyone, right? Like even when we think about these levels of intimacy, right? It's like on the first level, you meet somebody at a coffee shop, right? Or you meet someone at a meeting or something like that. It's like a, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. And then you go on about your day.
Right. There's no feelings. There's no opinions. It's really like the lowest level of vulnerability.
Yeah. Step one. You got to talk.
Yeah. Hey.
Small talk. Yeah, small talk. I'm a fan of small talk. And then like the second one is sharing other people's beliefs and their opinions, right? So let's say, okay, this example of like you're in the coffee shop, right? And you've done like the, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you, right? Like, man, I know a lot of people come to this place, right? Or we talk about general things that are happening like in the world, right? That may or may not be impacting us, but things that are trendy. Right? So, oh my gosh, can you believe this crazy stuff that's going on in the world? Or, man, so you say that you are a therapist? Oh my gosh, I've heard some crazy stuff about therapists, right? Because some of my friends, we don't know about therapists, or some of my friends, we love going to therapists, right? So just talking about general general topics, general things that does not necessarily reflect what you believe per se, or your thought about something, but just kind of like what the general society or what your friends think. And I think even when we think about that, right, it's kind of like I always say, and people always say this, like, you are a reflection of your friends, and I think your friends are also a reflection of you, flock together, right? So it's like, if you're telling me about like some of your friends or a bunch of your friends are always out partying or wilding, or they don't like certain things or whatever the case may be, in a level of intimacy, right? Because we're talking about that will let the person know, do I have the green light to proceed to talk to you further? Right? If I'm seeing you interact with your friends, or seeing how your friends interact with the outside or everybody else, right? Or even with you, it's like, do I feel safe enough to now be vulnerable with not only how the general society thinks about things, but how I personally feel about whatever scenario.
Oh, that was good. That's legit level 2. Yeah. And then you hop right into level 3, which then transitions into your own personal opinions and beliefs. So like, you get past that, generalizing everything, right. But then it's more so like, I feel, or this is my opinion about this, or this is what I believe in. And that kind of takes you through, it lowers, it's like letting your guard down slowly. That's exactly what these levels of intimacy are doing. Exactly. So you can be emotionally on the same page. So by the time you get to level 3, you're like, let me crack the window a little bit in this car, see what's up, let the wind run through my hair a little bit. So I think that's where we're at in terms of level 3, just sharing those opinions personally, like about yourself, how you feel, just your perspective on different angles. And then you can kind of get a feel for each other too, to see, like, is this an open mind person or a closed minded person? Yeah. So level 3 is actually the good level to be in when you're dating.
Oh, yes. I think level 3 and then level 4, which we're about to talk about, I think those are the 2 levels in my mind. That's like, okay, I'm really figuring out where we go from here. Right. Because that's a safe place to kind of be like, are we proceeding with caution, right? Because this whole time you should be proceeding with caution, because if level 1, we're saying there's no risk involved, there's no hard feelings, right? By level 3 and going into level 4, where you're sharing your own personal experiences and the things that might have happened to you, that's where you're like, okay, there's some risk involved now, right? Now I'm getting a little bit more vulnerable with you, because now in level 3, I think about level 3 is more of like a, I would be open to a relationship, right? Or right now, I really just want to meet new people, right? Just to have friendships, or whatever that might be for you. Level 4, when you're sharing your personal experiences, right? That's more of like a, the reason why, right? Or I personally feel like I would love to be in a relationship right now because my last relationship was X amount of years ago, and I got really hurt, and it took me a long time to heal from that, and now I feel whole from that, right? So level 4 is when you're really getting into your internal self, like who you are, why you are who you are, right? So so level 3, it's kind of like, like your stance on things, and then level 4 is like your why, right? So what experiences have you had that have led you to have whatever that thought is or whatever that opinion is? But in level 4, this is where a lot of risk is involved, because in level 3 and 4, I think this is where this is like the honeymoon stage too, right? Like, so this is like, okay, we've met at the coffee shop, we've been texting, and now we're like on a date. So now it's like, it's just us 2 here. And then from there, it's kind of like a, okay, what's next, right? Or I'm just gonna back away slowly, right? But this is not meant to be the space where you tell all of your business, right? And you expose yourself completely, and you're completely vulnerable. Why? Because more times than not, we are having deep conversations, yes, but we're putting our best foot forward, right? Like we're still in the beginning stages of this. So if this is the first date or even the second date, there's a lot more risk involved. I.e., like, if I say the wrong thing, like if I say, let's say this person is trying to think of something. Let's say this is where I find out that this person has a different political view than I do. Okay. So that could be like no. Absolutely no. Yeah. Yeah. No. Right? Like, like not at all. But if we skip that and then we go right to the physical side of it, then it's like, we don't find out that they have a different belief system, right? Or they've had different experiences that have shaped their opinions and beliefs until after we've did the do.
Right.
And now a lot of times, especially speaking from a woman's perspective, now I think we've reached a level of intimacy because we've been intimate. And now when I find out that you're not who I thought you were, or I prematurely put you on this pedestal because you show me only the parts that the marketable side of you, because we all do it, women and men, right? Then it's like, dang, now it's harder to back out. And now we have this false idea of, well, we've been intimate, so now we've already reached this level of intimacy, which is just not true.
And that goes back to, well, with you explaining all of that, that jumps right into level 5, which is your highest level of vulnerability. When you just open yourself up completely, you know, you let them in, you let the guard down and all of that stuff. So by the time you get there, and if you are intimate in level 3 or level 4, you know, which in your brain is like intimacy, which it's not, it's more physical intimacy than emotional intimacy. You first comes love, then comes sex, like for you. But for that person, it's that was just sex.
That was just sex.
I wasn't feeling the chemistry, not here yet. We're still working on that.
Right.
So it's really important for when you're dating, or even throughout your marriage, to make sure that you keep up with level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yes.
If you got to run it back, do that again. Because when you get to level 5, it connects you to true intimacy.
Yes.
At the end, you know, that's the ultimate goal, is the true intimacy. And I think that, you know, part of that is going through that together. Yeah. Because you're not going to be, there's no way that you can be on level 1 and he is on level 4. Because that means he done shared his experience, personal experience with you, opinion, and you're still like, so, what do you like to do on the weekend? Like, no, we passed the, hey, I'm Brittany, how are you? You know? So it's important for you all to go through that walk together. And I think a lot of people don't, because they don't know how, and they don't know how to differentiate the two. And it's always, girls love the 90-day rule. Like, I'm not going to sleep with him for 90 days because blah, 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 blah. Okay, that, I stand by you.
I hear that.
What are you doing for those 90 days?
Thank you.
Are you going through these levels? Because if you're not, then you just waiting to take your clothes off.
Exactly.
So
exactly. And then if we can be real, right? And then if the other person knows, right? Because I'm not even gonna say, because I feel like men too have now been very much like, no, I'm being empowered too, so I'm gonna make you wait too, right? Yeah. But I think sometimes it's more of like a game for both people. It's like, are you really about to wait these 90 days? Okay, but what can we do in this 90 days physically? But we not gonna go all the way. Like, we're not gonna have sex, right? But like, we gonna like tickle a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get close. But you know what I'm saying? But we're not gonna go all the way, right? But even with that, I feel like it's so like, at that point, you might as well just go ahead, because you're not doing the work. And I think even beyond just like a romantic relationship, right? I think this can be the levels of intimacy, can be for friendships, right? Because I think what tends to happen is, and you have to evaluate it over time, right? So you might have, and that's why I think some people outgrow their friendships. Yeah. Because we get to a place where we change as people in general. There's no way that I'm the same person that I was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you know? And that's why I think it's so important, whether it's in a marriage, whether you're in a dating relationship, or just with like just your friends, to be doing all these things, because at some point you could look up one day and be like, who are you? Yeah. Yeah. Whoa, but I thought your favorite color was blue. Well, yeah, it used to be. Well, when did your favorite color change? Now that seems something that's like, so, but that's what will happen when we think about, that's level what, 2, right? When we're talking about favorite colors and things, right? And it's like, but it can end up being so significant to the growth or the demise of any relationship that you're in. So I think it's just important to really think about and process through the levels of intimacy in all types of relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And remember to go back to, if you need to, because people don't when you're dating, it's different, right? Yeah. If we're going to use a dating example, you're getting to know somebody, boom, boom, boom. Right. All right, cool. We made it to level 5, true intimacy. Let's, whatever y'all decide to do, whether you're waiting until you get married or you're not, you know, that's y'all. Right. But when it comes down to your friends and family, and you're talking about those levels of intimacy too, it's you have to remember to go back, because people love to think that you're the same person from 5 years. You're not the same person. People are always evolving. We're always changing. We're always growing. If you're not, you need to, because you cannot be stagnant in life. So as I'm growing, my level 2 of my favorites or my opinions and beliefs in level 3 could be totally different. Exactly. And that's when you're learning that person and your friends and your family, you get to see, are they a closed mind or open minded person? Right. Because when I come to that barrier or that threshold or that fork in the road, whatever you want to call it, where it's like, you know what? I used to be Republican. I'm now Democrat. Right. Yeah. Or I don't want to be a part of any party because they're both stupid. Yeah. Like, I don't want to vote. What is this? You have to be open-minded to hear these types of things and be like, all right, we're going back down, but we're going to build back up, because our intimacy, we have to keep it there. We got to keep that flame, because if you don't,
the flame, like, keep the flame. And I'm going to say that too. I think, like, when you're married, you should still be dating throughout your marriage. Like, remember that. Even with, like, friendships, right? Like, I still have girls' nights. And I will always have girls' nights, because it's a part of, I want to make sure that my girls were all still good, right? I think when you, at any stage, make sure that you're still growing and maintaining whatever relationship that you're in, you know, even with yourself. I think something that, like, even when thinking about some of these things, like, allow yourself to be okay with the fact that you change too. Because sometimes we want to be stuck in like a, oh my gosh, well, I don't want to tell my family that I'm now, this political, with this political party, or that I don't want to do certain things anymore, right? Like, we have to get to a place where we're like, yeah, I'm not the same person that I was 5 years ago, and that's okay. Right. And y'all, either y'all gonna be okay with it or you're not. Right. But I've gotten to a place where I'm good with myself, right? Like, I've reached a level of intimacy within myself that I know what the external world, society is thinking. I know what's happening at my job, and I also know for myself, right? Like, who I am, and things that I like, things that I don't like, things that I don't care to like, all that. Facts. But you just gotta just think about levels of intimacy, be conscious of them, and really, I would challenge, like, all of us to just evaluate, just kind of like, what levels of intimacy, like, where are we with different folks, right, that are in our lives presently, and how have things changed, like, over the past year.
And remember that intimacy does not equal sex, but also keep in mind that there is physical intimacy, and that is, if your love language is physical touch, then physical intimacy is something that you keep near and dear to your heart. So if that's you, then make that a necessity in your relationship. But I think it's important to figure out the emotional side of it first before you figure out the physical touch and your physical needs. Right. Because that'll, if your emotional is right, the physical is going to fall into place. It usually does. Not all the time, but it usually does. Keep those things in mind. And this has been another episode of Small Talk. You already know, 2 queens, 2 perspectives, 1 topic, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye.